Hello, welcome to all of you, Shailendra, I don't know Nam, Pankaj, Dr. Hari Krishna, Subhash. Welcome to all of you on a Saturday afternoon to Cutting Edge Metaphors. So we all know about metaphors. However, good afternoon. So how many of you have already been using metaphors? I've posted that poll also in the group here. I would love to know from you that how many of you have already been using metaphors? And although I know that all of you know what metaphors have been, just a simple definition is when you compare two things together and find similarities between them, that becomes a metaphor. Simplest examples can be, you have very sturdy roots when it comes to your values. It means your roots are the tree's roots are compared to your values. So the strength of both is the similarity which is compared. She's as beautiful as Rose, or she's beautiful as Rose, or she is Rose. There also, the beauty of both Rose and the person is compared together. So that's metaphor is all about. So how many of you, okay, Pankaj has used metaphors, wonderful. And how many of you think that, how many of you can tell me where all metaphors can be used? What do I mean by what kind of content? Or maybe, where all you can say in the situations as well. So, okay, you don't use it much. Cool, Shailendra. That's absolutely fine. So, where all we can use metaphors, poetry, okay, descriptions, website copies and all, yes, in almost any conversations or written content, absolutely, Dipashri. So, yes, we can use metaphor in almost any conversation or I would say any type of content, whether it is written or verbal. The recent example which reiterated the power of metaphors to me, though being a international book coach and being the author of books and being into writing day in and day out, I know that I know the power of metaphors, but it so happens at times that you either forget or something reminds you of that. So recent incident which happened with me was that I recently was uh, giving a guest lecture in one of the prestigious colleges in Mumbai. And when I went there to first pitch about the lecture, the NLP part and the storytelling part. So when I was introducing NLP to them, and it was an IT college. So and I was not prepared, but somehow that metaphor came at the right time. And this is how I explained it to them, that when they asked what is neurolinguistic programming, and I said that look at this phone and why do you think that gets hanged? And their reply was that there might be some unused applications or a lot of data overload over there. And I was like, exactly, that's the student success is the phone. And the reason why it is getting hanged every now and then is that there is unused apps or overload of data, which can be, beliefs, some conditioning which has happened, some thoughts or beliefs which are coming into the action. And that is why it is not running smoothly. After that, I did not need to explain it further. I did not need to explain it theoretically. And I cracked the deal. That reminded me the power of metaphors, although I knew the power of metaphors. But as I said, sometimes even I and other people who are day in, day out into writing in metaphors also need reminders. Okay, so next is it also made me realize that I was already reading few things which were it was one thing to write metaphors in book. In books also metaphors are used, right? So it was one thing to write metaphors in book, which I often do. In fact, in almost my every book, whether it is a fiction or non-fiction, you'll find metaphors here and there. But it is another thing to write a book based on metaphor. How many of you have seen that? A book which is based on metaphors, not teaching metaphors. I'm not saying the book is teaching metaphors. I'm saying a book which is based on a metaphor. How many of you have, come across any such book? And when I show you the book, maybe you will be like, okay, we didn't think about it that way. So how many of you have, okay, iceberg selling, that's a new thing for me, so I will definitely check it out. Thank you for telling me that. It's a new book. Yes. So how many of you have already seen some books which are completely centered on a single metaphor? No such book. Okay. How many of you have read this book, Be a Triangle by Lily Singh, the comedian? Even if you have not read it, how many of you know her? Lily Singh is a famous YouTuber also, right? So this book, as you said, as you can see, like there's a triangle over here, and the whole book's concept is based on triangle, although it is her story. But she has picked up this metaphor that you have to be a triangle. And how she has described that is that, triangle has a wider base and there's narrow at the up. So when you have wider base of strong values, you cannot topple down. Life cannot make you wobble because you have a very strong base. And the whole story is about that. So a single metaphor, the whole book story has been concocted that way. And because it is through that metaphor, I can never forget her story. Because metaphors are signs, or they make you see things that becomes, so you are actually sent to the language. From the language, you are transported to signs through metaphors. And that's what metaphors talk directly to your subconscious. And that is why they are more retainable. And that's what this book has done to me. Another example of a book, I'll just open the page because I don't have the hard copy. I just have the Kindle version of that. So I'll rather open that. The cover is Welcome Home by Nazwa Zebin. And this book, again, is completely about a metaphor of home and how you can build a home. So if you can see the very first page where the introduction is that before you start building the home, you must lay the brick road that leads to the land on which your home will be built. And the whole book is chapter by chapter about, cleaning the room and what that room is about and how do you enter. So even if the author is talking about boundaries, there is always this metaphor of home which is running across the whole thing. And again, that makes it even more retainable. Although the concept of, building a home inside you or connecting with yourself itself is very captivating, itself is very eye catching, but this is the cherry on the cake. Okay, now another name also came by now. Book named by River Pampa. It is wonderful. So we will also check these books out. Wonderful. Now you can also explore other. You might have come up with many other. Animal Farm is one of the metaphoric books because it is talking about animals, but not animals. It's an analogy which is talking about the political system. So there are books which are they're doing really well in market because they have been metaphoric apart from their story. Their story itself has become a metaphor. Eat That Frog. Absolutely, Dipashri, you got it right. So there have been such books which are very, very metaphor centric, and that's their superpower. So that reminded me that not just because I cracked one more deal because of metaphors, but also because being a book coach and being surrounded by such beautiful books who have used metaphor as superpowers, let me dive deeper and bring out something for people which can help them to hone this skill of metaphor. Okay, so time for introductions. And before I ask you to introduce yourself through metaphors, a simple metaphor which I can talk about myself is that I used to be the house full of books. But now my journey, after the journey which I have taken, be it the journey of being with books and making the books my siblings, or be it the journey of being into arts and then switching into management for some time and then dropping that, or be it the journey of being into aviation, cracking the interview and even then not going there, or being into the journalism, being the silver medalist there, working with Times of India and Hindustan Times, but even not finding my calling there, or being it finally reaching here, I would now call myself the home of legacies, because now I am doing what I'm really feeling aligned towards. So from the house full of books, which I used to be, but that was just a house, finally I became the home of legacies. So now time to, unravel yourself through metaphors, just quickly type in maybe a one-liner to introduce yourself, but through metaphor. So quickly type in the chat box. That's kind of a warm-up we do before we go ahead and delve deeper into the frameworks which can help you to bring out wonderful metaphors. Okay, quickly type in the chat box your introduction. What would you relate to? I'm like what? So I can see your names, no need to mention the names, but yes, you're like what? As I said, I compared myself to home versus house versus home. I'm a potato, sorry. I'm a potato getting along with everyone. Wow. Interesting. Would love to know what quality you compared of the potato with you. I'm an anchor to my family business. Wonderful. Great. So Shikha and Naam have introduced themselves. Shailendra says, I'm like a budding lotus flower. Wow. Very beautifully mentioned. Interesting. How about others? Oh, Dipashri says she's like water, keeps flowing, I guess. So when you're saying, water, so water does so many things. What is the common quality which you are comparing yourself with? Phonics in Money Selvi says, phonics in quiet transformation, not just rising from ashes, but learning to dance in the fire. Wow, marvelous. Dipashri says, going with the flow and doing what is required, whether I like it or not. Wow, marvelous. Subhash says, being a construction safety professional like I am like eyes and ears of a managing director. Marvelously explained. Wonderful. Loved it. Awesome. Awesome, guys. So keep giving it a shot because there's this saying, or I had heard once a very tiny story that was about, there were times when money was not the currency and it was, the currency was talent. And whoever used to have a lot of talent was the richest person in the world. And one of such rich person, uh, he he had a lot of talents and he had saved those talents in the bank, and he used to keep 10 talents with him, just like we keep little bit of cash with us and rest of the money is in banks. So he used to keep 10 talents on the go with him, and rest all were in the bank. And one fine day when he had to travel abroad, he was a bit scared that he will be robbed by all his talents and all. So he wanted to keep them safe. So he called up all of his three servants and divided the talents into them. So three he gave to the first servant, three he gave to the second servant, and four, four he gave to the first, four he gave to the second, and three he gave to the last one, 10 talents. And he just said that, I am not feeling safe while carrying these talents along with me. So you keep it with you. And once I'm back, I'll take them back from you. And he went, and what the first and second servant did was they used those talents. They did not just lock them away. They used them on every single day, and thus they multiplied the talents. Till the time the master came, the one who had four had eight, the other one also who had four had eight, and the third one just kept it locked. So when the master came, those who had four returned him eight talents back, and the one who had the remaining two talents, he just could return two only. So the point here is that if you are taking this talent, don't just keep it locked from here. There are good, wonderful frameworks which are coming your way, but if you're keeping them locked, they will never multiply. Wow, some wonderful answers. Wow. I'm treasure chest of thoughts that can be crossed into a varied articles of words. Interesting one now. Cool. So let's dive deeper into and stay till the end because there's a wonderful, wonderful bonus for you guys, those who are staying till the end. And let's dive deeper into the session and see what all frameworks, wonderful frameworks, which are coming your way metaphorically. Okay. All right. So I have divided this 2-day boot camp into 3 sections. One will enable you to think metaphorically. Second will enable you to write metaphorically, and we have frameworks for each of these. And third will enable you to sell metaphorically, whether you are selling your service or whether you are selling your product, it will be useful for both. All right. So let's dive deeper. Okay, if creativity was a vehicle, what would it be and why? So vehicles can be many. It can be plane for somebody and it can be, cycle for somebody. So what could, if creativity was a vehicle, type your answers in the chat box. What kind of vehicle it would be for you and why. The session is at least 1.5 hours, which is 1.5 hour long. However, considering the interaction which is happening here, it can stretch to 2 hours at max. Yes. So if creativity was a vehicle, what vehicle it would be for you? The faster you reply, the faster we will cover the session, because I cannot skip the interaction here. That's the core of practicing it here so that you can get the ball rolling from here. Okay, faster. For me, creativity would be a cycle. I'm able to somewhat relate to cycle better. And convertible Mustang. Wow, interesting. Boat. A cycle because it can weave through the traffic of problems and can be solved. Wow, interesting. That's the same reason that cycle can, weave its way faster in the traffic also. So yeah, same reason I can also relate. Rocket, wow, soaring high without limits, exploring unknown territory, marvelous. Aeroplane can fly and take you to new heights. Awesome, awesome. You guys are doing wonderful job at finding metaphors. How about others? Boat as it is smooth. Wow. Loved it, Hari Krishna, Dr. Hari Krishna. Marvelous. Keep typing your answers in the chat box. All right. So let's see the first framework to think metaphorically. With the framework is mind, and the full form we will see in how I will show you the examples also, and then we'll do the exercise as well. So mind stands for, the first M stands for mapping the concept, which means that you identify, you pick up what do you want to actually describe. You want to describe beauty, you want to describe uh, you want to describe speed. So all these examples which you gave, as you can see, Dr. Hari Krishna, let's say his example, he wanted to describe the movement, how that should be. The movement has to be smooth, right? In Shailendra's case, it was about taking to new heights. So it was about, heights, which he wanted to connect as similarity. Dipashri wanted the speed. That is why cycle can weave through traffic and problems can be solved. So it was speed. So identify your point which you wanted to describe while comparing this. You have already compared one metaphor of creativity. Identify what you are trying to describe. Height. Some people will be like weight. Some people will be focusing on beauty. Some people will be focusing on direction. Some people will be focusing on movement. What was it which now you described it first and now you will go back. We will do it the opposite way here. But quickly type in the chat box, whatever you have described now for the creativity part, what was the concept which you compared? Some examples I already gave. Dipashri was for speed, Dr. Hari Krishna was for movement, Shailendra was for heights. Let me scroll up. Rocket, again, soaring heights and exploring unknown territory. So adventure. Solving maximum problems efficiently. Interesting. Interesting, Dipashri. So she focused on that part. I focused on speed part. For me, like, traversing through the traffic is faster when you do it with cycle. Cool. So keep on thinking about whatever comparisons you have done. What was the concept which got compared unconsciously? Now we will do it consciously here. Rocket is limitless, beyond known. Yes, interesting. Keep on typing. We move to the I part here, which is identifying characteristics. As I said, the characteristics which got compared. First, you already did that unconsciously. That's why we are doing opposite. But here, first we will see, we want to describe, suppose, beauty or self-confidence, or as I said, NLP or any concept which you want to describe. You decide that first. Now, what concept of that part or what characteristic of that concept you want to describe? When it comes to beauty, beauty is not just about looking good, it's also about confidence. Beauty is also about perception, right? So what you want to describe there? So, okay, we'll see some examples also. The qualities, maybe it can be the emotions, it can be the purpose, anything that, anything related to the concept. Like for me, when I was describing NLP, I was describing the purpose there while using the metaphor of phone getting hanged. Third is N, which is navigating analogies. You bring those analogies together. Now, one way is to think about, randomly think about something, but here we pick up some categories and then pick up the analogies. How? Maybe, for example, once I have described, I want to talk about NLP. That's my concept. The characteristics that I want to talk about is purpose. Now, what kind of analogy I want to give? I want to give the analogy from nature. I want to give, if I would have given the analogy from nature, I would have described NLP from the point of view that your mind is a garden and you're the gardener. So it is your responsibility to cut out the weed, to nurture your plants, to give the fertilizer. And if you don't do, there will be weed all around. And that is what is happening in students' mind. So that would have been the nature part. I picked up the technology and I talked about smartphone and compared that. You can talk about relationships, any other thing. So you pick up one broader category and then you go to the final, designing the metaphor. So that's the concept. I used to do it unconsciously, but for you guys, I've coined this concept that this is how step by step you can do the metaphors. Okay, let's see some examples here. Okay, so you can draw this anytime you want to practice. This is how you can practice it. Draw it in your notebook or wherever you are practicing. And let's see, like here I have written few concepts which we will talk about. Mapping the concept would be there. Then identifying the characteristics. So let's say the first one is about writer's block. And what are the characteristics related to that? What writer's block make you feel stuck? Writer's block make you feel maybe low confidence. Like writer's block gives you frustration. Writer's block is about being blank mind. It's a kind of pressure. Whatever sentences come to your mind, it's also about silence. So all these things are somewhere related to writer's block. How to do that is maybe you write the concept in the center and make a mind map. Whatever thoughts are coming, writer's block is this, writer's block is that, writer's block is this, writer's block comes from here, and doing a rough mind map first. From there, you will get the characteristics. Next point is navigating the analogy. Now we can pick up any options. You can pick up nature, sports, library, whatever you want to pick up. Nature, technology, health. Now you see in nature what is stuck, or can I describe frustration? Can I describe pressure, silence? So if we talk about stuck, nature is about, in nature, we can think about a dam blocking the river. That can be one analogy, which can be compared with writer's block. If we take the same stuck in technology, it can be a frozen screen. If we take the same stuck in health, it can be a clogged artery, right? So same characteristic way, you will find so many metaphors in different categories. Then you finally pick up whatever you want to. I have picked up one, and just to explain that writer's block is the creative dam. The ideas are there, but something is lost in the flow, and you don't need more water. You just need to clear the debris. All right, clear on this one. Just give me a thumbs up before we move ahead. And for thumbs up, I need to stop the screen. Okay, limitless, beyond unknown. Okay, that was for that. Cool. Awesome. All right, let's talk about another concept, another part of mind, uh, mind framework, which is, suppose you're launching a new program. What that is all about? Type your answers in the chat box. Launching a program is maybe scary. Launching a program is, what is launching a program? Maybe what does it make you feel? What is it purpose which is coming to your mind? Just make a mind map and write the words which will come as characteristics. Quickly type your answers in the chat box. Whatever is coming. Launching a new program, or maybe launching a new product. What all comes to pressure to do the best? Yes, yes, absolutely. Money Selvi. Enthusiasm, energy, vision, transition from enable to enabler. Wow, interesting. So all these are your characteristics. Doesn't mean that the characteristics which I'm taking, it doesn't mean that yours are wrong. You are looking at it from your perception, and that's how the metaphors will differ from person to person. Dipashri says it is about uncertainty. Okay, so these are the characteristics which you have churned out for new program launch. Everyone has different characteristics. That's why their metaphors will differ. Okay, so let's have a look at, I also have found few. It is exciting for me. So uncertain definitely is for me. Somewhere growth centric definitely, and it is definitely nerve wracking because you do a lot of work at the background. So considering all those, again, we bring up broader categories of any analogy which we want to bring up. It can be nature, space, anything. So randomly I picked up space. Maybe it can be space, nature, or maybe sports. So if I talk about exciting, it can be rocket launch and also the growth centric part. It can be, when it is coming to growth centric, it can be planting a seed, which is related to nature. And it can be in sports. It is just like, when you're stepping into something, it's just like that. So it is, when you step into the ring, it is exciting also, but it is uncertain also. So that is also one of the category which you can tap upon. Not that you cannot tap into any other category. You can think about technology and think what is uncertain over there. The virus which can come is uncertain. Or maybe when you talk about technology, what is growth centric over there, or what is exciting over there, right? When you get a new phone, it is exciting. So think about various other categories, and then you navigate this analogy. And then maybe we can pick up any of these. So launching a new program is like planting a rare seed. You nurture it with your belief, water it with marketing, and wait for it to break through the soil of doubt. Okay, so next one is procrastination. Again, identify your characteristics when it comes to procrastination. What is procrastination for you? What is procrastination about? What is maybe what does it make you feel? All these characteristics, bring them out on chat box. Okay, procrastination is about avoidance, fear, draining. What else? I guess somebody is on unmute. I need to mute the person. Manjulata. Okay. No clarity on what to do, blockage. Wonderful. Great. Great. So while I'm showing you my characteristics, since you have come up with your own characteristics, you come up with your own analogies that will help you to bring out something different from what I'm showing here as a practice. Like Shilpa is saying draining, or maybe Shailendra is saying blockage. Now think about navigating analogy. Pick up blockage as the characteristic. Navigate the analogy. Think about nature. What is stuck? What is blockage there, or what is draining there? Or maybe think about nature, sports, technology, health, whichever domain you want to think about. Okay, so for me, it is about delay, it is about resistance, it is about avoidance, it is about guilt. Okay. Any domain which I picked up two, technology and household. So in technology, it's a spinning wheel part, and household mein maybe it's a junk drawer. So procrastination is a mental junk drawer cluttered with good intentions, unopened to-dos, and lost motivation, hiding under old excuses. Now, the thing which is to be noticed here is that we are not ending any metaphor comparison with just metaphor. We describe that. Why? Because that's what we think. And it helps them to picture, it helps your reader or listener to also picturize that part very clearly. I could have just said that procrastination is a mental junk drawer and not explaining it. But I explained because I wanted to talk about that procrastination doesn't mean that you don't have good intentions. So it is cluttered with good intentions because they are kind of tangled. That is why they are not very visible. They are not very sorted. There's unopened to-dos. So Just like in a drawer, there are things which are unopened, but they are buried here and there. And there are motivations also, but they're lost and hiding under the old excuses. So excuses are surfacing up, and that is why you can see excuses, but that doesn't mean that there are no good intentions in procrastination. So this is how, when you think about procrastination, and when you're describing any concept with any metaphor, describe it a bit longer to just paint the picture a bit brighter for the audience. Okay, Mani Selvi says it's like planting seeds but never watering them or caring for it. Yes, yes, absolutely. However, I differ just a bit on caring for it. We do care. We don't want to procrastinate. However, that's somehow maybe we put the wrong fertilizer is what how I would describe that. That since you don't know, you keep on fertilizing it with the wrong one, and that's why it's instead of blooming, it's kind of getting stale. Okay, let's come to the next one. Maybe selling a high ticket coaching, selling something bit expensive, selling something premium. It can be a product also, not just coaching. What all characteristics come to your mind? Any premium product. Premium product is like dash. Premium product is about dash. Premium product makes me feel dash as a seller. Quickly type in the chat box. Even if you don't have the product, you can still think about that. What if I have a product? What does it make you feel? What is it about? Quality of the product. Okay, Manjulata, wonderful. Handcrafted Swiss chocolate, interesting. Apple product, wow. High standard, yes. Absolutely. Excellence, yes, Shalendra. Cool. So let's have a look. I also found a bit. It's a premium one. It will be life changing if something is. It's deep definitely because it's a premium level. So it has to be a bit deeper or a bit different or a bit. I would say, uh, creating an edge over others. Part of digital marketing funnel. Yes. It will be strategic because if it is a premium one, there are lots of hidden psychological strategies also behind Apple or behind all the premium products. We just see that it's a phone, but as you must have seen many marketing programs, they are not selling the phone, but they are selling the status. Similarly, for Nike, they are not selling the shoes; they are selling the motivation. So there is a lot of emotional strategy behind that. So yes, these are the things which came to my mind. Okay, purple color, interesting. All right, so now time to connect with the analogy. Manjulata says, hi, connect more why over what? Yes. It's like inviting someone to, oh wow, this same example I've given here, first class thing. So travel first class, same thing I had given as an, we are on the same page for that. Wonderful. So nature may, maybe you can have it, what is life changing is climbing a mountain, can be life changing for somebody. Cooking in fine dining can be a premium. Again, first class flight can be a premium. So working with a high ticket coach is not a pit stop. You can remove that line. I gave one more metaphor there, but even if you don't give that line, directly comparing that, working with a high ticket coach is like a first class flight to a new attitude where your mindset travels ahead of your success. So again, I described it a bit. Okay, when I say what is first class for me may not be first class for others, the description of the first class. So for me, it is when you go to a new attitude, new mindset, where your mindset gets an upgrade. Okay, great. So interested to do the practice now? A little bit of practice here. Quickly type in the chat box, say yes, because there's coming wonderful exercise for all of us, which is Metaphor March. Marvelous. Awesome, awesome. Okay, so what we need to do here, it's not a match wala game. It's just, or at one side I've given concepts, at other side without even getting into the navigating analogies and all that part, I've directly given the metaphors over here. You can cross it. Maybe you want to have creativity is like a candle, and then how? Just describe that. Maybe you can have growth is like a lighthouse. Then how? Or maybe burnout is like a candle. So just connect and type your answers in the chat box. Cool. So type your answers in the chat box. You can connect anything with anything.
Hina, can you please just once more repeat what we have to do?
Yes. So on one side, as you can see, there are list of concepts which you can compare with any of these metaphors which are on the right side, right? So it's not like a agar maine first mein diya hai कि there's confidence, so confidence doesn't necessarily has to be compared with a candle. Any of these which you find comfortable with or where you can connect it faster, at least one of that you connect and give the answer in the chat box. Farina, you got it? Or do I need one more explanation?
No, I got it.
Awesome. Cool. Okay, burnout is like a candle. How? Explain it a bit. That will make your metaphor even more elaborated and that will make you think even more. Burning at both ends. Marvelous, Shilpa. Absolutely. Marvelous. How about others? It's okay. Just first compare and then suppose the roughest way to do that is, randomly connect how creativity can be a silent elevator, or maybe how creativity is mischievous cat. What does a mischievous cat do? And then describe that. Confidence is a silent elevator. It's stationed, it's there and goes up and down upon choices of trigger. Wow. What a wonderful connection, Nam. Absolutely loved it. Awesome. Confidence is a lighthouse. It not only gives light, but also helps in navigating the way when there is no light around. Wow. Marvelous, guys. You're doing wonderful job here. Fear of failure is like a silent elevator. You think actually you are moving ahead in life, but somehow you are stuck and alone in silence. Wow. Marvelous. Wonderfully described. Fear of failure is a shadow puppet. The shadow of the potential failure controls our mind and actions. Brilliant, Bhadresh. I'm like clean gold. Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Okay, somebody is on unmute again. I need to come here and check. Sorry for unsharing the screen. Okay, nobody's there. All right. Again, sharing the screen for you guys. Growth is a silent. Okay, fear of failure is like a shadow puppet. It looks big, scary, but it is just your own hand. Wow. Shilpa says growth is a silent elevator. Can't see the growth, but still rising. Wow. Wonderful. You guys are just getting it rolling like anything. Wonderful. Awesome. So that was the part, and you can keep on doing that. You can do this exercise. Even I would suggest that you do it on a daily basis, at least do one metaphor daily. And that's how you will master the metaphors. You will become the metaphor magicians. And every day you can do the same thing, writing some concepts at one side and others at one side. If you want to go with this practice, the mind practice, definitely, but that's to do in the paper properly. So just to cut it short, I've given you a shortcut also here, so that your metaphoric thinking is sharpened. The more it is sharpened, the more it will come in your language, whether it is verbal or whether it is written. Confidence is like a candle. Even after reducing self-light to others in silence, also confidence grow more. Action over words. Yes, wonderful. And it can be like a mischievous cat, can help to squeeze from worst situation. Oh, interesting. All right, so that was about that. The simplest exercise is this. The elaborated one we have done with the mind framework, and that will help you to think metaphorically. All those who are like, I cannot think metaphorically, how would I write metaphorically, or how would I explain to metaphor? How would I explain with metaphor? So that's the easiest way to do that. And that's the roughest way I also do whenever I'm sitting. If I want to, do my writing exercise, I generally prefer sharpening my metaphors, and I just think about a concept, and I randomly connect it with anything. First, I connect and then I find the similarities, and you will always find some or the other similarities for sure. Fear of failures is like a mischievous cat, need to bell it to unlock the growth. Wow, marvelous. Wow, wonderful. See, you guys are doing such a wonderful job here. Think about if you're doing it daily, the compound effect. All right, so that was the section of thinking metaphorically. We move towards the next session, which is metaphoric writing. Okay, so ready for another framework? Ready or slept? I don't think so metaphors will ever let you sleep because they are very interesting. I guess the most creative exercise. Yes, yes, absolutely. Wonderful, Shailendra Farina. Cool. So let's be on toes for metaphoric writing. And this time the framework is called vivid. Okay, so first is vivid, first V is visual. And as the name itself suggests, using metaphors which don't just talk sense, but talk to your senses. Okay, so just not talking the sense, but talking to the senses. Why it is important is because if you are involved in anything with more than one sense, your retention is higher. And that's what we do with metaphors. That's what metaphors do for us. First of all, the sign language itself directly talks to your subconscious. When you think in signs, when you think in pictures, pictures are the sign of your subconscious. So they hit directly to your subconscious. That's why, again, I'm reiterating that it is more retainable. And the more senses are involved there, if you read novels and, read fictions, the reason why we are able to imagine that like a movie is because not just the power of metaphors, but also the imagery writing or the sense or the sensory writing, which often authors do and captivate the reader from almost not all five senses, but at least 2, 3 of them. Yes, creativity is lighthouse, showers the light on our mental house. Interesting one, Manish. Cool. So, as I said, using sensory imagery, and I will give the examples after describing the whole framework. I stands for impactful. Here, impactful is emotionally resonant, making your metaphors emotionally resonant. We'll again see how to do that after completing this framework. Then V again is voice. And voice here means matching your tone or matching your writing voice or the kind of person you are. Generally a brand, not the professional brand, but the kind of person you are. Like I am the person who would not fight with anybody. Like fighting as in I will do argument, I will do it, but I will do it at the softer level. I will not shout. So matching those things also helps you to, and that comes, I guess, naturally, because what you are is what comes out. So that's where a silent person will use more silence metaphors rather than bang or loud or anything like that. So that's the easiest part to do, matching your voice. Then comes the interpretive ones, which is letting the metaphor deepen the meaning. We'll see that how. And then comes the directional, where you direct the reader or the audience forward in the direction which you want. Yeah, my daughter loves to read fiction book before watching the movie to experience more in imagination. Marvelous. I do the same. Okay, cool. So let's move towards some examples. So visual. Her thoughts scattered like autumn leaves in the wind, colorful, chaotic, and whispering stories she couldn't quite catch. First of all, tell me what are the words which are making you paint the picture or making you picture the whole thing? What are the words in this sentence? And what is the metaphor used here? Scattered, yes, that made you imagine the picture. What is the metaphor used here? Okay, these are the words which made you imagine the picture, but I'm asking what is the metaphor which is used here? Yes, autumn leaves. Yes, absolutely. So thoughts are compared with autumn leaves, and then how autumn leaves are scattered in the wind. They're colorful, they're chaotic. And then since it is thought, the whispering stories is again kind of a metaphor, which is kind of a personification. But yes, so it's how it is visual is not because you can visualize it, but the words which are used there and the words which have been described. First of all, autumn leaves, scattered is the word which is kinesthetic, scattered, right? Colorful, visual word. Whispering, auditory word, right? So chaotic can be auditory also, chaotic can be kinesthetic also, the way you see that. So all these words are talking to your senses. Apart from the metaphor, these are the words which are used there. It could have been simply in simpler way without the visual part. It could have been described. Her thoughts were like autumn leaves, so scattered word out, scattered everywhere. So maybe still the scattered word comes and paints a picture in your mind. But the more sensory related words you use while describing the metaphor, the more it will become visual for a person, the more it will be retainable. Okay, let's see the next example. Burnout feels like running barefoot on hot gravel. Every step forward stings a little more. First, tell me what is the metaphor compared here, and then tell me what are the words which are talking to your senses. What is the metaphor which is compared here? And okay, read again. Feels like running barefoot on hot gravel. Yeah, exactly. Hot gravel walk. Exactly. Yeah, gravel. Manish, Dr. Hari Krishna, running barefoot on hot gravel. Now, next question is, what are the words which are talking directly to your senses? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic, or maybe, olfactory. What are the words which are talking to your senses? Sting, wonderful. Hot is kinesthetic word. Yes, definitely barefoot, stings, hot. Forward is also movement related word, right? Which is kinesthetic. Feels is kinesthetic, related to emotion. Emotion and movement is kinesthetic. Running is kinesthetic, which is related to movement. It could, if I remove the sensory related words here, the re-description of that would be burnout feels like a gravel walk. I'm removing the word running barefoot because I don't want them to visualize. So burnout feels like a gravel walk. Every step forward stings a little more. Still, there are a few words, but at least from the first sentence, I remove the sensory related words. All right, let's move to the third example. The silence between them crackled like static on an old radio, loaded with things unsaid. First, what is the metaphor which is compared? And second, what are the words which talked to your senses? The metaphor which is compared, static on an old radio. Wonderful. Yeah, so old radio is in the metaphor, but that is static is the quality which they have compared. Old radio. Wonderful. Old radio. Marvelous. Marvelous. Now, what are the words which talked to your senses? Visual, auditory, kinesthetic. What are the words? Crackle. Wonderful. Unsaid. Okay. Silence. Crackled. Yes. So silence is auditory. Crackled is, it can be auditory also, or it can be visual also. Old, okay. Old, if you are seeing it from, something visual or attaching this. Okay, visual. Okay. New and old. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, wonderful. Marvelous. So crackled is there. Static, again, it's a movement related word. So that's there. Yes, rest all you have cracked right. Marvelous. So let's see other one, the next part of the framework, which is impactful, how to make it emotionally resonating. Here, the emotions have been described. But basically, you can describe anything emotionally with that by explaining it away the way it is done. So say, for example, grief is like carrying an invisible piano or carrying a background music. You can say that also. So background slow music is heavy, silent, and always just behind you. So here it is carrying the invisible piano because it's heavy part which I wanted to talk about. Silent, because it's invisible, but still it's there. So you cannot play it. And it's always just behind you. So describing the qualities, when you describe the quality with a word, which here the carrying word, I could have said grief is like a invisible piano, but not carrying. So I wouldn't have described the word heavy over there. But the kinesthetic word which I used here made it even more emotional, because I wanted to describe the heavy part. Next is, describing through adjectives. Yes, Manish. Imposter syndrome is a paper crown. The crown made out of paper. It looks fine until the reign of doubt begins. So again, the quality which you wanted to describe, that quality has to be described in words also. I could have simply said and get done with that. The imposter syndrome is like a paper crown. But what? For some people, paper crown is good. So they are like, how is it bad? How does it affect us? How a paper crown or a thing made of paper is bad? Maybe some people can say that it can be torn into parts, it can be torn into parts. Or some people may say that, once it becomes wet, it loses its charm. So that's why it is important that you describe that part to make it emotionally resonating. The moment the description came into the scene, you felt the emotion. Next is, just a moment, starting over felt like standing in a thunderstorm with no umbrella, raw, real, and electric with possibility. Again, it has been simply described with a thunderstorm. It could have been done without the description. But standing in a thunderstorm for me versus standing in a thunderstorm for you can be a bit different. Some people may talk about scary. Standing in a starting over feels like standing in a thunderstorm. Scary, unsafe, and helpless. Suppose some people may say. So when you describe, people will feel the same emotion. How you are describing that. You can describe it the way I said, that you can have a different picture of that. But the description is important. Yes, Dr. Hari Krishna, imposter syndrome is doubting your naked face as mask. Wow. Marvelous. Very, very interesting way to put that. Absolutely loved it. All right. So let's move to the next part of the framework, which is, again, as I said, it is very natural. You don't need to put much efforts over there or even think about it, because the way your subconscious sees things, looks at things, describes things, takes things, responds to things, similar kind of metaphors will come out. So you don't need to put special efforts there. Just have a look at that your voice is matching. So let's just guess the voice. Here, when I'm saying procrastination is just an ambition doing yoga in slow motion, what kind of voice is that? Like one, I will tell you as example. So this is kind of a bold voice. Why bold? Because you are talking about bold, or you can say if in visual words or in the sensory language, it is also kinesthetic, or otherwise you are saying something which is yoga in slow motion, which is kind of hits you hard. Oh, yoga, had it been just yoga, it would have been a very positive part. But yoga in slow motion, it's just hits you. Something which is hitting you on point is what is bold for me. Mix of bold and, yes, peaceful, but how can procrastination be peaceful? So that's why I said that description is important. Here, yoga in slow motion is kind of giving the hint that slow motion yoga is not that useful, very slow one. But still, I would say if it is not described, that's what the confusion I was talking about. As rightly Dipashri said, for her, it is coming out as peaceful. Till the time I'm not describing it further, it might create confusion in your reader or audience mind. Okay, next is your ideas are seed, your beliefs is the sun, water them daily. What kind of voice is that? Yeah, push-up is slow motion. In slow motion is more hurtful. Yes. What kind of, what's this voice or what this feeling? What does it make you feel? That would be the voice, basically. When you read this, your ideas are seed, your belief is the sun. You water them daily. Necessary, yes. Yes. So for me, it is nurturing. Necessary cannot be a voice. Okay. Next, let's move to the third one. And as I said, you don't need to put much head into that because that will come out naturally. That launch flopped harder than a pancake in a protein ad. So it is edgy, sharp because again, it is hitting on the point. You can call it edgy, sharp, bold, such sort of thing where it is coming on point sort of thing. It's directly like it could have taken a bit of time for you to process it if something else was there. But since the metaphor was concocted in a way that immediately you could, it's just like, 1 second transaction which happened. So that's what sharp, edgy, or maybe bold for me. You can name it something else also. Okay, so this was about the vivid frameworks, third V, which is voice match. Again, I'm reiterating, you don't need to put much efforts because, as I said, as you also can see, if you scroll up the chat, one concept, different metaphors from different people because they look at it differently. And that is why the metaphors will also be described differently. And the current example was when Dipashri said that, yoga can be peaceful also. So for her it is peaceful, and most probably she will describe, she will use yoga as an analogy only where peaceful things are there. She may not relate to the slow motion of that, right? So it's your personal perspective which makes your voice very prominent. You don't need to put extra efforts for that. Oh wow, could compare it to tequila shot as well. And that reminds me of one of the sessions where I was telling to one of my participants over there that, she was not breaking the paragraphs. And I told her the same thing. For me, I don't know, tequila shot, what does that mean for you, Dipashri? But that's how I describe that. If you're not taking breaks or not breaking your paragraphs in writing, it's just like that tequila shot, which is fast and it leaves a burning sensation. People generally avoid that burning sensation. Every time if you're giving them a burn, they'll not be very willing to read that. But if you're doing the paragraphs, it is aesthetic, it is easy on readers' eyes. It's just like that wine. Make it a wine where, every sip by sip, they get involved in the story. Every swirl by swirl, their emotions groove. So that's how you can, uh, pick up concepts and bring them together with the similarity and make it a metaphor. Tequila shot hits hard. Okay, you're asking. Yeah. I'm a teetotaler. Okay. You know it from your husband's experience. All right. Even I'm not a teetotaler, but yes, I just have a taste once and I never liked it after that. So and that's why, again, the point is you have to explain the metaphor. Otherwise, as for her husband's experience, it might be a good thing. For me, it's not. And that's why I prefer describing that so that it's not taken the other way. All right. So let's move to the next part, which is interpretive. As I said, you go deeper into the meaning. How do you do that? Again, describing it so that it's particularly according to your perception. Metaphors can often mislead also if you're not describing them the way you are looking at that. And you're getting many examples over there in the chat box. Tequila and the yoga one. So self-doubt is not a villain. If it is not a villain, then what? So here two metaphors are coming together. One is villain and one is a misinformed bodyguard. So you can play around with two metaphors, as I did in my explanation for tequila and wine. Two metaphors came together. Self-doubt is not a villain. It's a misinformed bodyguard trying to keep you safe. So the bodyguard is not very nicely informed, so it's not doing the right job. Okay, Dr. Hare Krishna says, my friend after his first two shots thought that he's going to die. Wonderful. Great. So next is your voice is not lost. So if you see, there's a pattern. Dash is not dash. So when you're describing something where you are first telling that it is not this, but it is this. So there two metaphors can be used. Sometimes it is not as you can see in the second one, voice is not lost, but still I would call it a metaphor because voice cannot be lost and found. It's your voice. So it maybe it's kind of personified. Your voice is not lost. And then the metaphor comes, it's at the backstage waiting for you to call action. So again, a metaphor of backstage is there, but it is described. For somebody else, being backstage means something else also. Waiting for your turn or waiting for their turn to come. Or maybe for some people, being at backstage can be being, getting scared that, oh my God, it's my next turn. In that case, if you're not describing the metaphor, it may land up its own way to many people. All right, let's see the third example for interpretive. Clarity does not arrive like a lightning. Again, if you again see the pattern, dash is not dash, dash is not dash, dash is not dash. So when you describe something like that, you can use two metaphors together. So it is about deepening the meaning. When you deepen the meaning, you can use more than one metaphor. And it just does not deepen the meaning, but it also brings a contrast. Like in wine and tequila, you could see the contrast in both the things. Here in Villain and Misinformed Bodyguard, you could see both the things. In lightning and ink, you can see both the things. Clarity doesn't arrive like a lightning, it trickles in like ink soaking into the page. So again, using two metaphors together, there you can play around and first say that this is not this, use metaphor there also, and this is like this, use metaphor there also. That way, it gets much more deeper into the conscious because there are two metaphors, plus there's a comparison, and definitely the visual picture is there. So that's the secret behind, or the difference. If you are thinking that description has been already there in all of the metaphors, how interpretive is different in the framework, this is how it is different. First, the objective of that being any metaphor being interpretive is you're using two metaphors together. How do you do that is first you say this is not this, but this is this, and this is not this, use one metaphor, and this is this, use one metaphor. And if you want, please describe that. Okay, next comes the last one, directional. You are directing them to, okay, let's have a look at the sentence and tell me what are you directing your reader to with this? Your story is a bridge. The moment you tell it, someone else gets to cross. What direction is it aiming towards, or what am I actually talking about? What do you mean by it being directional? Any guesses? It's okay, you can guess in the dark also. Any guesses? Support to cross from point A to point B. Yes, Dipashri, absolutely. Okay. Helping to move. Yes. Now, what I mean, yeah, emotional connect. Wonderful. Okay, somebody's unmute again. All right, not. Okay, so yes, Pankaj says emotional connect. All right. What I mean by directional is, suppose I want to talk about stories and I want to tell them the benefit. If they use the stories, this is what will happen to them. Okay. Now I describe that this is exactly like with your story, you leave your legacy. Suppose I want to talk about story leaving a legacy. Okay. Now I have to think about the metaphors which help me, which are similar to leaving a legacy. Leaving a legacy behind. It may be a tree. There can be legacies left behind. Here, the direction which is coming is you move one person from one point to B point, which is kind of a transformation. Who wrote A to B? Yeah, Dipashri. So it's here, it is about maybe I wanted to describe that, stories move you from emotional connect, as Pankaj also rightly said. But yes, emotional movement is what I wanted to. A person is moved from place A to place B, or there's a change. All these things. So when and then I used a metaphor. If I'm talking about moving from one place to other, what all things can be there? There can be road, there can be any kind of transport which moves you. There can be a bridge also which is crossed. There can be, you can use any vehicles example also. So first you think of the objective. What do I want to talk about? What do I want to give the direction towards? Stories, multiple directions can be there. Leaving the legacies, moving them there, connecting emotionally. When you are putting a direction of connecting them emotionally, then think about a metaphor. What all things connect with each other? Pipes are there. I'm just randomly talking. What all things connect? Glue is there. So then you think about the metaphor. First, you think about the objective. What do you want to talk about when it is about stories? Or what do you want to talk about when it is about NLP? Again, going to the mind framework where you put your characteristics or the intention behind that. Looking at the larger picture, if you're thinking that, then you think about a metaphor now where looking at the larger picture, maybe through binoculars or something, that gets described. Dipashri says, a bridge helps the reader to cross the chasm of ignorance safely and quickly instead of floundering and crossing it with self-experience. Interesting. Wonderful. Okay, let's move to the next example. Your next level is not a mystery. It's a locked door and your message is the key. Now here I wanted to talk about growth in maybe content writing. So your next level in content writing or your next level in writing is not a mystery. It's not nothing unknown. And my objective was that I wanted to talk about that how you pack your message is the main key. So main key is the metaphor which I use, but the main part was that how you pack your message and how can you unlock that. So unlocking the way to write message and unlocking itself is a metaphor. So that's how this was concocted. If I talk about the same thing, if I say that, next level in writing, suppose that's what I want to talk about. What in next level of writing you would want to talk about? You want to talk about next level of writing is not this, but that, or you want to talk about next level is in writing, the secret of that lies in this. So then you have to think about metaphors related to secret. If you say that the next level of writing is it's the hidden treasure which you can think about. So what do you want to talk about? Again, then bring the metaphor over around. Okay, let's move to the next one. Okay, there were two only, I guess, or I missed it maybe. All right, so all those who stayed till the end, as I said, there would be a wonderful thing for you who practice. So we have covered metaphorically thinking, we have covered metaphorically writing. We have two frameworks also with us. One is mind framework, one is vivid framework. And I'm so glad that we are much before on time. So any questions are also welcome, but here is your part. It is a metaphor metrics lab. It's the emotions are given there, the objects is given there, the domain is given there. What you need to do is to think of a concept. Visual slide. This slide only you're talking about, Manjulata? Or the visual slide which
विविड का पहला वी
अच्छा विविड का पहला just a moment
वो
I'll
थोड़ा
explain
मैं
this.
डोर खोलने गई तो मिस हो गया.
Okay, I'll just explain this and then
I
I'll
missed it.
yeah let me just explain that and then I'll go back. Okay, so let's see the example. As you can see, there's an example given there. Resistance is something which I wanted to talk about. Suppose, say for example, that now resistance is like what you pick up anything, maybe it's a backpack, it's something else, okay, backpack in a stormy forest. So deepening the metaphor, backpack itself is a metaphor, stormy forest is again a metaphor, and then I'm explaining that heavy but it holds everything you need. Okay, so here I have deepened the metaphor. What you can do is that suppose confidence, what does confidence make you feel? Pick up from the emotion, which object you would connect it with, or maybe you can pick up from the domain. If you want two metaphors together, object and go into the domain. So maybe broken mirror under the tree. So in domain, you went to the nature and picked up tree, something like that. Key in the space or key found in the ocean. That's how you're bringing again two metaphors together. So let's do this exercise for any one of the things. So bring up first, what do you want to talk about? Any concept, any definition, type that in the chat box. Let's do one exercise here so that you can practice that with this pamphlet with you. Take a snapshot also for that of this one. And quickly type in the chat box, clarity. Dr. Hari Krishna wants to talk about clarity. Further questions to you are, what does it make you feel? Pick up emotion. Or maybe something else also as characteristics. It's not necessarily that you have to pick up an emotion. You can pick up any other characteristics of clarity. Then accordingly pick up the object from here, or if you are thinking something else, absolutely fine with me. And if you want to deepen the metaphor, you can go into the domains also and add one more metaphor there. Emotion is freedom. Okay, now so think about what object here, or if not here, then think about an object which gives you freedom. Compass gives you freedom, kind of direction, right? Yeah, compass also gives you freedom, but then you need to explain, because for me, compass gives direction. Okay, so now make the metaphor. Now bring them together. Okay, how about others? What do you want to talk about? So for Dr. Krishna, one more thing. If clarity is the compass, it frees you from what? If you're saying freedom and using compass as a freedom part, it frees you from what? Getting directionless, definitely, but directionless, what is the directionless part in clarity? Okay, Naam says you want to describe grief. Okay, so either pick up the emotion from here as characteristic, or you can have a characteristic of grief and then compare. Shailendra says confidence, again pick up from emotion here, or pick up any characteristic which you can think about for confidence and then connect the object and domain. Dr. Hari Krishna says it shows where you are and where you need to go. Okay, interesting, wonderful, very nicely described. Confidence mirror what? Okay, now connect and describe that. Grief के लिए emotion is fear. Okay, now connect with any of the object which is, if it's not here regarding the fear, you can think about something which is related to fear. How about others? How about others? And meanwhile, okay, a candle. Now concoct that fully, create it fully. Grief is like a candle, then how? So meanwhile, I'll just go back and do the first V for Manjulata. Okay, Manjulata, here is the example of visuals. And as you can see in all the three sentences, where apart from the metaphor, the words like scattered, the words like colorful, chaotic, whispering, running, hot, forward, sting, and silence, crackled, static, old, unsaid, all these are sensory related words. And that's why it is even more, you know, imagery related, or even more on the side of painting a picture. So here we are not saying that a picture is worth million words. We are saying that our words are painting million pictures. Clarity, okay. Clarity is the compass. Discipline is, okay, so many came. Discipline is like a compass that leads us to our goals through the maze of life. Interesting. Dr. Hari Krishna says clarity is the compass which gives you freedom from the burden of unlimited possibilities or outstanding. Mani Selvi says freedom is like being an architect of your own life with a compass in hand and let your direction be guided by the true north, not by others' expectations. Marvelous. Oh, in the war of chaotic thoughts. Outstanding, guys. Outstanding. So I'm absolutely loving it, but the journey doesn't end here. First of all, we have the second part of journey happening tomorrow, which is metaphorically selling. So there would be another framework. There would be a lot of exercises for that. But after that, the talent is in your hand. Please don't keep it unlocked. Please don't keep it locked. Keep the key, keep it unlocked and use it so that you can multiply that. So we will meet tomorrow with lots of surprises, lots of wonderful more learnings there. Any questions? I'm here. Or any sharings? I'm here before we wrap up the session. Or I'm hoping that you have clicked the pic of this before I stop sharing the screen. Okay, I'm stopping the screen. If anybody hasn't, let me know. I will again share the screen. Will these session be uploaded on YouTube? Yes, and I will be giving the replay link also. Yeah, mind framework I'm showing, sure. Okay, mind framework. Okay, here is it. So click, take a snapshot. Let me read. Grief is like fear of drowning in the Black Sea, bitten by a tiny fish all over. Wow. Wonderful. Thank you so much, Bhadresh. See you tomorrow for metaphorically selling. Thank you so much, Shailendra. Keep practicing. We'll also discuss what all you practiced or how did you use today in the talks. Maybe go around and explain something to somebody with a metaphor and play around with it. I'm sure you're gonna have fun. Thank you, Ritu. I'll see you tomorrow, all of you. Thank you so much. His session was like sipping tea, hot chai during rainstorm, warm awakening, and just what the soul needed. It's mine. I guess it's hers. Thank you so much. And nutrients are, thank you so much, Shalendra, are like soldiers that save the country, that is our body. Wow. Dipashri, I can see you using metaphors like a ninja very soon. Yes, thank you so much, Nam. Thank you so much, Shalendra, Dipashri. And yes, we'll meet tomorrow at the same time. Farina, thank you so much. Bye-bye. Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much, Dipashri. Manjulata, yes. Bye-bye.